Howdy, folks. Welcome to Retsutalk, episode 31.
Wow.
How are you?
I'm good. You know, in the Jewish religion, our podcast would now be a man. Pretty cool.
Is it a circumcised podcast?
I think that happened around podcast 10. No.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. So we are at a deficit of things to really talk about this week.
Oh, no.
But fortunately, we have crowdsourcing on our side.
Oh, good. Is this a Kickstarter podcast, I take it?
It is, yeah. And we've raised many, many questions.
Oh, man. This is awesome.
I don't even know where to start.
I'm so happy. Hey, by the way, I have a redaction or an apology for you.
For me?
For you.
Okay.
I'm going to just have to admit it. MacBook Pro cannot stream well. No, I really investigated it, and I figured out it is just like, once the encoding starts, the CPU gets bogged down, and it's just not doable. You really need a machine that'll marshal it out to the graphics card, and I don't have that.
So does that mean you're retiring from streaming?
No, I think I'm just going to stream garbage. I'm going to just really own it.
You're just going to really stream Cookie Clicker 24/7?
Even that doesn't stream very well, honestly. No, it's funny, though. Isaac actually works the worst of everything I've tried.
Oh.
Capture card stuff tends to work the best, I guess. And I'm still kind of tweaking that, but... So
anything you would put on consoles?
Mm-hmm. Anything that I don't actually have to play on the computer itself, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I saw your Bioshock tests, and those seemed troublesome.
Yeah, no, that was... I had to fuck around with the streaming settings some, and it's still not great. Max Payne 3 worked better. I think I could tweak it around so it's not such a big issue, but...
Well, it's because he's really drunk all the time, kind of stuttering and stumbling, so it looks natural.
One thing I was thinking of doing... Well, that's true. One thing I was thinking of doing, by the way, was just recording along with the streaming, so even if the stream itself doesn't work out great, I can at least take the audio from the stream and then take the better recording and put that up later. You know what I mean? So...
Yes.
You gotta work with what you've got, or, that or I'll just bite the bullet and buy the fucking desktop PC already.
Kickstarter.
I sort of finished Max Payne 3, by the way.
Oh, what are your final thoughts on it?
I like it. I feel like, story-wise, it's probably worked out to be the best of the Max Paynes, in a way.
Is that saying much?
No. But it's I like Max a lot in the third game, because I feel like he's kind of a down-to-earth action hero. He's kind of like a guy who's, got a lot of problems, he's dealing with them in the wrong way. He kind of overcomes it pretty easily and all that, but it's better than, I guess, the other stuff where, a bunch of people, my family got murdered and I'm out for revenge stuff, which is, typical action hero. This is a little more, I don't know. It's interesting, and I think if they had gone a little better with certain aspects of it, it would have been a lot better, It had a lot of potential, and it only realized a little of it.
How was the gameplay?
A little repetitive. It's the first couple of games, and I mentioned this last time, were more kind of down to earth. You didn't feel like Superman, or... it's kind of like Die Hard 4 versus Die Hard 1. Where Die Hard 4, he's, fighting jets and, throwing cars at helicopters and shit, and one, he's just
pretty down to earth, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Die Hard 1, he's just a guy in a building who's pretty good with a gun and kind of clever, which is kind of like Max Payne 1 and 2 were sort of like Die Hard 1, and 3, there's a lot more, crazy stuff Max does, which kind of takes you out of it.
How many times did Max say yippee-ki-yay?
Not very many.
Okay. Well, that unsold me from the game, then. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's a hard sell anyway, because it's a pretty old game too. Also, I've heard really good things about the game Brothers.
Brothers?
Mm-hmm.
What is this game Brothers that I have not heard of?
It's a game on Xbox Live Arcade, and there is a Steam port. It's a co-op game, and it's really meant to be done with the gamepad. It's co-op gameplay, but it's single-player co-op, they call it. You play an older brother and a younger brother. You control each independently with both thumbsticks and the triggers, more or less. You solve puzzles. There's a story element to it. There's no spoken word. Everything is sort of body...
You're just describing Mario and Luigi Dream Team.
Am I now?
Or maybe one of the Mario and Time Partners things.
Oh, dear.
I think I just mixed two different titles together. But go on.
I actually think Brothers' subtitle is Max Payne 4.
Okay.
But,
good.
No, it's apparently... I haven't played it yet, actually, and I've watched a bit of it. It looks really cool, and it's apparently incredible. But the one thing is, apparently, the PC port, if you don't have a dual-stick gamepad, it's kind of dodgy, just because there's no great way of doing it. I heard about it because my best friend, Total Biscuit, has been talked it up on Twitter and such, and I watched his video of it. The only thing I'd say about his video is he goes out of his way to be vague about spoilers, but he mentions doing something in the game which really sparked my interest, but it's something he admits proudly if you've seen his What WTF Is, which then got me thinking a little too much about the game, and now I think I might know what happens in it.
Are the brothers related?
That's it. That's the big surprise.
Yeah, I can see why you would want to dodge that.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm really interested in playing it. He basically says something along the lines of, let me just throw something out randomly, just so I don't give anything inadvertently, even though I don't know anything about it. Like, it's like, I'm not ashamed to admit this part made me, let's just say, really horny. And then you start thinking, well, what could do that in this game? And then you start figuring
Incest?
it out. Well, there you go, exactly. No, but I'm making a joke, but what he really says, basically, made me think more about, like, what could potentially happen to the game, so I might be going in unspoilered. So anyway, but it looks like, I watched 20 minutes of it, and it looks really cool. It's, like, a lot of cooperative puzzle solving, you know, and I don't know. I think I might check it out. It's, like, I think, like, $5, $10? $5.
Should I get an Xbox One for it?
No, if you have Steam, you can play it. You just need to hook up a dual-stick controller.
I thought you said it was an Xbox Arcade exclusive.
No, it's also on Steam.
Alright, let me look this shit up then.
Allegedly, it's hard to play on PC if you don't have that controller.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, appears it's $15 on Steam.
Mm-hmm. I also saw Papers, Please for the first time.
It's a fun game. Well, not maybe fun's the wrong word. It's interesting.
It is very interesting. I played a different game from the same developer, whose name I can't recall, where you control the newspaper, and you drop and drag articles to say, like, what goes to print and what doesn't. So, like, you have to kind of support the government to keep your, to keep up appearances and not get fired.
Oh, yeah, the prequel to Paperboy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also known as Harvester, too.
Alright.
How are you liking Harvester so far?
I don't understand it at all.
I mean, in a good way or a bad way?
I don't think I've seen enough of the game to be able to judge it.
Yeah.
Yet, but I'm wondering if this is all going to somehow gel together in a fucked up way that makes sense.
I won't say anything.
Okay.
It's interesting, though, knowing the big thing behind it, because there's still stuff I still don't quite get how that ties in, you know?
Can I ask you this?
Sure.
This whole series, relates to a question someone submitted to. These FMV-style games back in the day...
Sure.
Where was the market for them? Why were there so many of them?
You have to understand, it was new technology, and it was very cool. So you take Dragon's Lair, is, like, one of the first, like, Laserdisc games, right? Or is the first really popular one, I should say. And it was, like, this notion when you walk into an arcade, it's, oh my god, it's a cartoon I can play.
I can see that after, say, one game, the first FMV game, but then once people react to it, logical people react to it.
Well, then, you get this whole notion then of people who, like, have, little movie studios. They typically can't break into the movie industry, so they think, well, why not the game industry, So you hire B-grade actors, you do all that stuff.
And then you make Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, right?
Well, that's, yeah. That one I can't figure for the life of me.
Right.
It's like they didn't even really try. And like I said to you, like, she was a wrestler, but, the woman who plays Jane, she probably wasn't that cheap, you know what I mean, to hire her and stuff. I mean, at least the other people posing for pictures, I guess you could say, I don't know, you pay them scale or you pay them in extras kind of
I thought these were all people who were hoping, I think that was what the woman's bio said on the game, was using it as a way to break into the industry.
Interestingly, too, I started reading about Harvester, and the girl who plays Stephanie was also hoping that would launch her acting career.
And how'd that go?
Well, I mean, she's now known in the industry as Scarlett Johansson, so I think pretty well. A little plastic surgery. One interesting thing about Harvester is none of the body actors and the voice actors are apparently either all or like 90% different. So, like, the guy voicing Steve is not the guy acting as Steve, and even the full motion parts, they voiced over.
So they saw how well Darth Vader worked in Star Wars and said, let's replicate that.
Except that their mouths move, so the voice actors really had to match everything up.
Well, they should have watched Drunk History and learned from that.
I think, yeah. I was watching Drunk History, I'm like, how do they do that? But I don't know. At any rate, well, Drunk History works the opposite, right? Where someone does the voiceover stuff first, and then the actors kind of have to match it up to the voice, right?
I'm assuming as much, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, it's probably easier if you're in an audio studio, and if you have the video in front of you, you can at least get a sense of the timing and how to say it. But if you're on a set, I have to imagine that's a lot harder.
That's true. That's a fair point.
So everyone tweets solutions as to how people do this. But I guess that's a good enough segue into the Twitter things we got into, right?
Yeah, lots of questions. Crowdsourcing our content once again.
Mm-hmm.
We're both looking at a Google document, trying to sort it all out.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about streaming. Let's start with @GFrodo, who said, how about a discussion on the parallels on how streaming has evolved compared to Let's Plays evolving?
Has Let's Play really evolved? Actually, if you want to know the truth, I think monetization is really what's driving Let's Play nowadays. And you see a lot of things that Let's Play is being driven by, at least on YouTube, you know?
It's more mainstream in a manner of speaking.
No, I mean directly it's being financed, so there's a lot more...
Right.
There's a lot more geared toward that, you know? A lot more like, what do you call it? Launch day titles, AAA titles. It's a little less, the scare cams obviously respond well. You see more of those. A lot more, like,
starting to see a little bit of Let's Play being used as a promotional tool as well, that game companies reaching out to people.
I don't know. I'm seeing that. The big
little bit, but I'm wondering if that could expand in the future.
I know indie developers are cool with Let's Play because it helps promote the games. The bigger ones, Nintendo, it's interesting that Nintendo went to the, because with the whole monetization thing, they did dabble in it, right? Because they did have an officially produced I think it's Xenoblade Chronicles Let's Play. And I think they had a promotion with the Runaway guys where they were playing, was it New Super Mario Brothers? No.
For the Wii U one, I think.
I think so, yeah, where they played it and to promote the game and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
but will that become more of a thing?
I don't know. I guess in some ways it will, although recently you had the Amnesia devs asking people not to watch the Amnesia Let's Play that came out.
Right.
Recently. You know who did it, of course.
Mm-hmm. Voldemort, right?
Right, exactly. But to be fair, apparently that was a miscommunication between Frictional, the publisher, Chinese Room, the developer, and the Let's Player, so whatever.
Yeah.
But
two different heads talking.
More or less, yeah. But it is interesting now. You do get the notion that you have a developer, and not a small one either, who's like, whoa, this Let's Play or this video actually might hurt people's experience of it, right? And
right.
Now, the interesting thing, too, is you talk about, I wonder if because what happened with me with Max Payne 3, interestingly, is when I rented it, Disc 2 didn't come with the rental. And I was like, kind of, the gameplay got a bit repetitive. I ended up watching a long play of Disc 2. Just to see, how the story ended and whatnot. Because that's what I was kind of more interested in. So, I wonder, too, if Let's Play, it could be a tool for promotion, but I think where we don't want it to go, I would assume, is Let's Play as substitute product. To put it in business terms.
Playing the game so people don't have to pay to play it themselves?
That's kind of what I worry about, more or less, yeah.
We're not seeing that, though, in Let's Play very much, because you see all the time in threads people saying, hey, this game looks awesome, so I went out and got it. Or, a couple people told me, hey, I got Mario Galaxy 2 because I saw your thread and it looked really fun.
That's the thing I usually say, especially if something awful. I do kind of think if anything is going to fuck up Let's Play, it's kind of that. It's going to be the game developers, especially the bigger ones, coming out and saying, we want to control this.
Right.
And I mean, and I don't mean to the degree I was talking about previously, where I think you have a right to say how your content's used, but more that, you know what, there's a lot of money here, I don't understand why I'm not making it, kind of thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And you're also seeing a lot of developers taking a firm stance one way or the other. Remember, there was this Reddit post on the Let's Play thing that said, these are the people who said it's okay to monetize Let's Plays of their games.
Yeah, and to be fair, Rockstar...
And there's quite a lot of them.
I think Rockstar is one of the big ones, too, that was like, yeah, feel free.
Right.
If I remember correctly. But yeah, like Devolver, people who did Hotline Miami, they're like, go nuts. Minecraft obviously has it in their terms of services.
The guy who made Papers, Please, someone posted in the Sandcastle recently asking them for permission. They said, yeah, go ahead, monetize it, post it, whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
So is this enough of a sample size to be able to say, seems like most developers are fine with it and it won't be a factor?
Now, but the question, too, was, where does streaming get into this?
Ah, yes.
Streaming's a lot more difficult to monetize. You know, I mean, because if you're using Twitch, I know there's a subscribe option, which I think the trick to that is you have to get, like, really fucking popular before you can ask people, give me $5 a month, you know?
Yeah, somebody told me that the guidelines for partnering there aren't really that strict and you can just apply. I haven't tried to yet, but supposedly it's not that difficult to get into it.
But I mean, that's not, like, the same as a YouTube, like, partnering with a network where you say, like, I'll get a cut of the ads. That's, like, or is it?
Oh, I'm not sure how the actual logistics of it work from there now.
Because as I understood it, if you want to make money off streaming with Twitch, there's an actual, like, subscription model where your viewers can pay to subscribe, and then you get that payment while Twitch gets the ad revenue. But, because I noticed, like, Darkside Phil has a subscription model. And the way the subscription works, I believe, is, like, you can set what viewers can and can't do. So, like, if someone subscribes to you, maybe they get ad-free, or, which kind of fucks up the business model I just described. But, or they can't chat without being a subscriber, or they, you know, or they get notified, or
it seems like it would, I mean, if you have fans, it seems like something that would annoy more people than get them to want to support you.
Hey, you gotta get paid,
like, hey,
right?
pay me to make your experience less inconvenient. Streaming's such a cash thing that seems like detrimental to that.
We thought that about Let's Play years back, you know, but look where it is now.
Yeah.
You know?
I think some of the social aspects of streaming are interesting.
Well, streaming is technically more ephemeral, too. Because you want to be there while it's going on, you know?
Yeah.
You can watch it.
Yeah, you don't see a whole lot of people watching the archived version or versions that you put on YouTube compared to your other content.
Sure.
At least in my experience.
Yeah. Right. And that's the thing, too. And I know it's with, like, your streams and this sort of thing I'm trying to emulate where, like, you bring people in and it's like a call-in show.
Right.
And the video, yeah. I mean, I still, as cash as it gets, I still...
Thank you.
I'm not in love with the whole video game being completely ancillary to it. But it doesn't really have to be either, you know? But it's good to, like, talk to people during the downtime and stuff, you know?
Well, people used to say Let's Play was very similar to, or, you know, sitting on the couch with your friend, playing a game for an afternoon or something. I think streaming's more emulating that than Let's Play.
It depends, I guess. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Because Let's Play, you're the star of the show, no matter what you do. Streaming is more like, you can take things from the audience, and there's more very direct involvement at runtime. We should try that Retsutalk streaming shit again sometime.
Oh, we should. I'd be down.
Yeah, why not?
Of course, I'd have to do the actual streaming, being the PC owner.
I could do that with... I mean, it's play... I think I could do that.
If you have a good 10 frame per minute video, then we can watch it there.
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness.
What can you do?
What do you think about the whole... Is streaming... And this is more of a sociological thought I just had, but...
Sure.
Is streaming taking up social time that is more valuable to spend where you have, you know, something more tangible with actual people you can hang out with? Does that make any sense?
Do you mean, is it better to, like, be on a Skype call with a bunch of people playing a game rather than recording by yourself and talking to them later on comments?
No, I mean using streaming more as a social activity than real-life social activities. Having it be a substitute for that. And is that bad?
Yes. Okay. I mean, I have obviously a strong opinion on that, but I don't know, maybe, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. Sometimes I wonder if I use streaming to, you know, just kind of hang out with people on the internet when I could be hanging out with people in real life, but in Alabama, you know, not as many opportunities to go out and do stuff. So part of me is wondering, am I using streaming as a replacement for that when it would behoove me more to just more actively go out and try to do more social stuff in the real world.
I don't really believe that there is a true real life substitute, or excuse me, a substitute for actual real life.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you need that tangible aspect.
Yeah. And I think the Skype call's okay. You talk to your friends on the phone, you talk to people there. I don't think it's a bad thing per se. I think if you do it, and I'm not saying
if you're using it as a crutch.
Yeah, or like, I can't get along with people in real life, but the internet understands me, I think is something you should address. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything, I suppose. It's like if you take anything to like the nth degree, it can really kind of mess with you. And there's
moderation.
Yeah. It's like, or you see like people with really fucked up like opinions, especially when it comes to video games or like on the internet. You know what I mean? Like about society.
And if you have a fucked up opinion, if you express it online, you will always find someone who is with you.
Right. And I think
which is not reflective of real life.
Right. Or it's like, yeah, exactly. I mean, it can also have, it depends on your exposure to people, because if you hang around with too many like-minded people, you get kind of stubborn, and this is coming from a very stubborn person, but, sure. And I think, like, your exposure to new and different ideas can help that. Now, you can get that on the internet, but I still feel like you need that real-life interaction with people, you know what I mean?
I think we're seeing eye to eye on this.
Yeah. Take it another way, too. Like those internet arguments people get into, I should say.
Yes.
A lot of times, those are kinds of things that are really very easily resolved face-to-face.
It's really easy to miscommunicate or read text in a certain voice that isn't there.
Absolutely. And I think everyone's probably experienced that with email at some point in their lives when they've emailed a person that they know, and someone's like, what the hell did you mean by that? And you're like, no, I just meant this. Like, oh, because it sounded like...
No, I just meant Hitler had some good ideas.
Right. Like, tactically. Actually, I think tactically he was terrible, but...
oh, well, okay.
That's only when I'm wearing my SS uniform do I really examine that.
When you're modding Danganronpa, right?
Right. Oh, God, by the way, they announced a new game.
I heard about that.
Uh-huh. And
to be fair, you did back 100% of the Kickstarter request for Danganronpa 3. You're literally... The only donor was you.
While naked.
Yeah, while naked in your SS uniform tattoo.
Yep. Yeah. No comment, whatever. The only good news I have is Orin Ronan doesn't have the capture equipment to do that one because it's Vita only. But Fadul, who's helping him on the LP, does. So, I don't know.
So it's inevitable.
I think, honestly, though, Oren's mentioned, I think he wants to move on to other projects after Danganronpa 2, so I guess in 2016 we'll see what that is. But,
look forward to that.
They're still not done with Chapter 2. It's killing me. Anyway.
So, did we cover the topic? Do we go on to the next question?
I think so, yeah.
All right. How about from at FL Marlins 85, baseball fan? Have you guys had discussion about doing another joint LP again, or are you satisfied with the wrong praise?
We've discussed it, I think, right?
Oh, yeah. You've mentioned off and on again the Police Knots thing.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about that one lately, but, that said, yeah. I'm a weird guy, and I keep getting other ideas that I want to try out too. But I guess Police Knots is the one I really should just knock it off and do. I've just been.
You're one of those people who likes to stay very busy at all times.
I also suffer from what I describe as shiny bauble syndrome, where like I get an idea and I start to explore it, but then something else can come along and I'll just forget the first idea and explore the second one, and then occasionally I get one that I just lock onto and then I get sort of obsessed with. But
So what's your current obsession?
Kanji. Yeah.
Do you know our logo is a kanji symbol?
I do. I can't remember if we discussed it on a stream or a podcast. But it is the Chinese symbol for failure. I think it can be interpreted as selfish strike. And the individual radicals comprising it are Shellfish and Winter. No. I think it might be Shellfish and Winter. But whatever.
When we do the D&D podcast, can my character have a move called Selfish Strike?
Of course.
Thank you.
I think that was in one of the Final Fantasies, or possibly 4 of them.
Right.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Joint LP projects.
I don't know. So Police Knots is up there, I guess.
Mario Galaxy together off and on.
I was considering doing a more casual Let's Play.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like, even just, like, because I rented Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. So I was thinking of just, like, recording it and then seeing if it seems vaguely entertaining and just saying, fuck it, and I'll just talk over it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of getting back to what we've talked about in the previous weeks, about, like, Let's Play taking itself too seriously, maybe. So maybe just, like, trying one that's not garbage, mind you, but just, like, let's not worry so much about 100%
comprehensiveness,
completion.
Covering everything.
Yeah, let's just fucking talk and have fun. I again don't want the game to be ancillary or anything, and I wouldn't like to deviate too far off of things for too long, but, you know, like, just fuck it, like, you know, kind of like, actually, I mean, Dead to Rights Retribution was kind of like that, right? I mean,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't bother getting all the badges. I played on hardest, although thinking back, I don't really know why I did.
To prove something.
Yeah, but it was just sort of like, let's just get this out of the way kind of thing, just because you might be interested in Dead to Rights Retribution, but...
I come to Dead to Rights for the story.
I certainly do.
And the passion that the developers clearly put into it.
I come for the story, just not in the way they intended me to.
That's fair.
What else we got?
How about... Well, somebody said... Gnome Bitten said, you guys like MGS, right? And he linked a DeviantArt page, and it's a picture of a skimpily clad Big Boss in the vein of Quiet, that controversial character.
Well, that's for cosplayers, as I understand it.
Yeah, clearly. You
Right.
know, if you're gonna have the whole skimpily clad woman in a context where it's not remotely practical, I think it's only fair you have Big Boss show a little ball sack every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it is the desert, right?
Yeah, it's in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
When you would want to supposedly, you know, cover yourself to not have skin cancer.
Well, you know, it's funny because I always find myself in the middle of those debates, because, like, and what usually happens is sometimes something, not this, sometimes something like innocuous or something I don't agree with comes along, but then some idiot will take that stance too far, where rather than, it's not just such a big deal, it's like, oh, you fucking feminists are destroying video games, which then makes me have to side with the thing that I didn't care so much about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Forcing an issue.
Yeah, it kind of just ruins the whole argument for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, but that said, the Quiet thing is I don't understand that.
Yeah, it seems pretty, not the arguments against it, but the fact that it is a thing in the game is just dumb, right?
Well, you know, what's odd about it is, like, it's something that, you know, it's like one of those video game things. It's like, oh, a scantily clad girl, all right. But then Kojima comes out and tweets that he's trying to make her
wanted her to be more erotic was his original quote, and then he kind of backpedaled on that and said, no, what I meant was, or no, he said the whole erotic thing, and then that, no, we want it to encourage cosplay and such. Which is kind of a shallow way to support your character. But then he backpedals on that and says, no, I meant sexy, and there are character-driven reasons why she appears the way she does. It's kind of weak in my Kojima, you know?
Well, Kojima in general is just, he's
a very odd, yeah.
Especially when it comes to sex. It's like...
Yeah.
He'll just throw in these things for, like, no great reason. And, you know, like MGS3, do you know the trick with the survival viewer? With Eva? Where you can like
you look at her down her cleavage, and at the end you look at her face, because character development.
Oh, I didn't know that one. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, when you're on the bike about to drive out at the end, you can do the whole R1 thing, and very clearly looks directly at her face.
I see. But, you know what I kind of did like about MGS3, though, is the first, it seems like the first Kojima game where the character wasn't such a huge perv, or he had, like, some weird hang-ups about sex, meaning Naked Snake.
Right.
Like, do you remember when Eva's trying to seduce him? I think it's, early on in the game, right before you fight Ocelot, if I remember correctly. When she arrives on the bike and you're talking and stuff, and he's, like, kind of standoffish and weird about it.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was interesting, because usually his characters are all about that. Like, especially look at, like, Gillian Seed. I know you haven't played Police Stuff. Jonathan Ingram is, like, that on overdrive with sex, and I don't know, like, Solid Snake is pretty, like, you know, he'll always kind of, like, I don't know, he'll walk in on Meryl and sell she has a cute butt and all that shit, you know?
Yeah, and Raiden has cum pouring out of him whenever he takes hits.
Honestly, that was my favorite part of it.
Yeah. It just seemed a little extreme is all. I don't know.
I don't know where he's... I don't know where he's coming from. And there's this story. There's a story about him, which is not well publicized, where and I don't know how true this is. It's like an urban legend kind of thing, but apparently he went to like a Japanese bathhouse or something with a couple of Konami execs, and there was like some way, I guess, or some peephole type of thing you could see into the women's one, and he apparently refused to look. He didn't think it was right, or whatever, So then you think, oh, okay, that was a decent kind of classy way out, and then you look at like all the other stuff, and it's like, I don't get this guy at all.
Yeah, really hard to tell where he's coming from.
It is. I think, though, a lot of people who like Kojima games, because he tends to be weird in a lot of ways, in terms of story, breaking the fourth wall, And I think it happens a lot with game developers in general. They tend to try to excuse it as to say, like, well, Kojima's just an odd guy, so it's okay. And it's like, that's not quite right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't just excuse. It's like, the easier argument there is, like, Suda51 will make a section of a game where you do nothing but walk for, like, 10 minutes. And it's, like, really fucking boring, but everyone's like, oh, it's Suda51, he's crazy, he meant it to be boring. But it's still boring. You know what I mean? Like, it's still not a good thing to have in your game, even if it's...
Doesn't really excuse the issue, yeah.
Yeah. That's more or less what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I like... In general, I don't know if I've talked about this out. Like, I liked early Kojima better than later Kojima. Like, before he made Konami shitloads of money with Metal Gear Solid, and he was always successful, but that really became, like, his it was like a PlayStation flagship game. Really tons of money on Metal Gear Solid. After that, I feel like Konami didn't take any reins with them, and that's where you get the really nutty shit like Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 4. 3 I did like the story, although it did go a little off the rails at times. But if you look at like Snatcher, Police Knots, even the first Metal Gear Solid, especially Snatcher, you feel like there's an editor there. Like there was someone who's like, no. Like, don't. You know what I mean? Like if
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, like if you actually look at SD Snatcher, which is apparently the original plot, it's much longer and much crazier. Whereas if you look at Snatcher for the Sega CD or the game that came out, that it was one of his early games, it does look like someone told him, look, we're running out of budget, you got to cut it short and you got to keep it a little simpler. It's not as off the rails. Police Knots is kind of similar. Metal Gear Solid goes there a little with the Fox Die virus and some of the nuclear armament stuff, but still not crazy town. Not Arsenal Gear and controlling the world's information and nobody's wrong.
Probably at the time they weren't thinking about this big multi-game story arc kind of thing.
But
when one was being developed, I wouldn't think. Yeah.
And I don't buy that Kojima did either. I especially don't buy it because he said once that Metal Gear Solid 2 was inspired in part by Napster. And the whole, like, the thing where the government, like, or people were, like, trying to shut down Napster, and that, like, made him think about controlling information, which gave him sort of the idea for Metal Gear Solid 2, which is where Arsenal Gear is more about, and the Patriots are more about doing that than, say, just the usual steal nuclear weapons, threaten the world type of plot,
Right, yeah.
So I don't buy into that he had this all planned out by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's smarter than just making it up as he goes. I think he can figure out like a general timeline, but things do get retconned.
Once he got all the money, did it give him license to go nuts?
I don't even know. I don't know if it's about the money or so much as nobody at Konami wanted him to tell him, like, take it, like, pull it back in.
What I mean is he suddenly became kind of a powerful person in the industry.
Yeah, well, everybody
so harder
at Konami,
to question him. Yeah.
Exactly. Konami makes money hand over fist with Metal Gear Solid. Of course, they're N2 and 3 and 4. They're not going to tell him, don't do this. It's funny, though, because you would expect, honestly, like, you do see it with Western companies, if Kojima or a game designer had said a similar thing about Quiet, you'd expect someone at the company to say, listen, this came out wrong, this doesn't really represent what the final game's going to be about. It's like, do you remember the Tomb Raider controversy? The new Tomb Raider game where the guy licks Lara Croft, and people are like, what is this, sexual assault, blah, blah, blah. One of the producers came out and said it, like, was that kind of scene, and then the company stepped forward and said, no, it's not that kind of scene. And by the way, in the final game, it is not. They kind of came out with a broader statement to kind of play damage control. Because I would think with Konami you would see that here, but you didn't. So I don't know if that's just how much they trust him, or if maybe maybe Konami just doesn't particularly care about it. You know what I mean? Like, they figure no one's going to boycott Metal Gear Solid or anything, so whatever. I don't know, honestly.
So, hope that answered your question.
That said, I do like Metal Gear Solid, but not as much as I used to.
Interested to see where it goes.
Actually, if you wanted the truth, I kind of wish you would knock it off and go back to, like, non-Metal Gear titles. Yeah, like Phantom Pain, I guess I'm interested in, but just less so. And wait, when did Big Boss, like, have an artificial arm?
I think that's part of... Well, there's the Phantom Pain, and then there's whatever's... Or, was Phantom Pain the before or after?
I thought Phantom Pain is, like, the latest of the old story. It's pre-Metal...
Well, there's, like, two segments. There's a 1974-ish part. Then something happens to Big Boss, and he's out for, like, 9 years.
I just feel like... I mean, we've seen Big Boss, allegedly, in Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2, talking about pre-Solid. And we've seen him again in Metal Gear Solid 4. And in 4, I could buy he has, like, a Luke arm, because they have crazy technology. But in the original Metal Gear games, I don't remember him really having that. He had the eye patch always, but I guess, you know... Because in the 70s, you're not going to get a great-looking artificial arm, or prosthesis, you know? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out.
Well, and also in Metal Gears, didn't he get incinerated?
Yeah, there was that too.
Small issue.
Right. He gets burned alive at the end of Metal Gear 2. And I think blown up at the first one, but, you know, you give every video game villain a mulligan.
Yeah. Give him the benefit of the doubt.
More or less. Do you want to move on to another question?
Yeah, how about at Ant Citizen? When will Slowbeef's website be going back up? Are there any special plans for it?
Yes, there are special plans for it. I've just been lazy about it. It's one of my million things to do. My old host pretty much was like, we're not going to do personal website hosting anymore. So I went to HostGator. But I lost my original copy of it, and it's still up on web.archive.org. So it's one of those things, like, at the very least, I want to pull my old Metal Gear strategy guide back. But
the first screenshot Let's Play.
No. It was a strategy guide. I don't know. What was I saying? But I bought the domain retsupurae.com way back when, just because I didn't want anyone else to buy it, you know, and be like, you know,
and have a PR nightmare on our hands.
Well, like, I don't know. Let's Play is one thing, but Retsupurae, I mean, that is pretty clearly us. You know.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, so whatever. I mean, I don't care if other people do things they call Retsupurae or anything like that, but, you know, I mean, that's kind of the name.
The royalties should come our way.
Absolutely. You know what I'm getting at, though, right? Like, I'm not saying don't do videos that are like Retsupraes and call them Retsupraes or anything like that. I just don't want somebody buying retsupurae.com and making a ton of money off that. You know what I mean? That's just...
a ton of money.
Yeah, so that all those bucks that we get. No. Anyway.
How'd you amass your fortune? Bought retsupurae.com. That's it. That's all I had to do.
No, I was planning to do maybe like a Chip and Ironicus thing where you have just a hub site where you just like maybe
just copy their source code and change a couple colors. Yeah,
absolutely. Here's some videos. Here's some videos we made. Here's a little blog or news or whatever. And the one thing too is that's always bugged me about being on YouTube is we're still at the mercy of YouTube. So you know, all it takes is of course like enough strikes or whatever, and then suddenly we're back to square one. So at least if you have like a place where people go, it's like in case that ever happens, it's like we can tell you, okay, we're starting up a new channel, or we're down
starting
for 2
an esports network now.
Yeah, basically we're talking over StarCraft. I don't know.
That'd be a valid career, I think. Esports needs more color commentators, and we could be the ones that just don't know what's going on at all, but pretend that we do.
I think ESPN had that. Didn't ESPN 2 or 3 used to have like Quake tournaments on late at night? I thought that was a thing. Yeah, I thought so, but it didn't last.
Seems more like something that would be on the ESPN double-digit channels.
I don't know. I don't know that I could do color commentary on a lot of competitive games because I don't play very many competitive games.
We'll just talk about how the games are garbage and how the players are bad. Things like
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
We should do more co-op stuff though, because it was fun to play Resident Evil 5. I wish we'd recorded that.
Definitely. You need to get a good PC, get Saints Row 4.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll get Saints Row 4, and then we'll be set for life.
Got it. Boom.
Do you have a PS3?
There's that. I do.
Okay. You could get Saints Row for that too, but I hear it's a better game to play on PC than console.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Frame rate issues and such on consoles, I believe.
You know what I found that with? Actually, Walking Dead. Remember, like, the Walking Dead game?
Oh, yeah, that game's incredible, yeah.
PS3, frame rate's awful.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, the pharmacy scene?
Yeah.
Really dropped to, like, single-digit frame rate.
Oh, wow.
Like, stuttered all over the place, where I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, this isn't Dead Rising, like, where you're doing a lot of, like, I guess they are doing real-time rendering with the actual graphics, but it's a static cutscene kind of-ish game, Like, if something's not working, you have a lot you can do. There's not a ton of player input happening. You know what I mean? Like, so I was kind of stunned by that, but I don't know if that's a PS3 issue specifically or just a bad console port in general. I don't know, but that's actually, I hadn't come back to it in a long time. I really should.
Oh, yeah, you need to finish it if you haven't, for sure.
I haven't.
They're working on Season 2, I believe.
Oh,
There's
cool.
DLC for the first one, too, but I haven't played it.
I really liked the first one, or what I played of it, Yeah. Definitely.
At MF Mega 0X, whatever happened to the Retsu Awards?
I don't know.
Fair question.
I don't know.
I did get some. We met the guy, Matt, I believe was his name. Met him at PAX again. Mm-hmm. He told me a few of the categories and the tentative winners, but I haven't heard any official results stuff. So Matt, if you're listening, post that shit somewhere, son.
It was a shame, too, because he seemed like he had a really neat thing going where a lot of people, like Cornjack was involved, Dan McNeely, like that was... I was kind of... I know it's kind of like patting yourself on the back kind of thing in a way, but it sounded really interesting, so I was kind of curious to see where it went.
I was, too.
Oh, well. Que sera, sera.
At Alor Sought, do you guys plan to do that other Gibson Flash called Move or Die in the future?
Possibly. I played Move or Die.
Have you recorded it?
I have not recorded it. Move or Die's a little long, so it takes a bit to play through and figure out if there's more branching pathways or whatnot,
Does it have that patented Gibson weirdness, though?
From what I played, yes, it does. Not as fucking out there as Ambition, certainly. And Basil Pike was crazy, too. This one seems crazy, just not to that level. So,
okay.
But probably it's enough. And I think I'd like to bring Hourglass back in for that because I liked him on the last episode of Ambition.
Yeah, he was good to have, definitely.
Good guy.
All right. At Hazard Paid, who were Diabetes' picks for the NFL division winners and the Super Bowl? And I guess you can contribute this as well. Okay. AFC East, Patriots. AFC South, Texans. AFC West, Broncos. AFC North, Bengals. NFC East, Cowboys. NFC South, Atlanta, Falcons. NFC West, Seattle. NFC North, Packers. Super Bowl, Seahawks, Broncos. Super Bowl winner, Broncos.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Are you excited that the Super Bowl is going to be in New Jersey?
Oh, is it? Giant Stadium?
Yeah. They say New York, but come on.
Yeah. I never understood that. Like, how did New Jersey get so fucking shafted on that one? Like, the fucking stadium isn't, like, there, Anyway, that said, I'm anticipating a lot of traffic. Whenever there's
so that's fun. Can't you take... Is there not a transit thing that gets you there?
No, there is. It's just you take Route 17 to get to Giant Stadium, and
no, I mean like public transit you can take.
Well, actually, you take 3. Whatever. There is public transit, and I do take public transit, but I take the bus, which means I am bound to traffic as well. So no, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm not. I watch football like when it's on, and I'll go to games. I'm not super invested in it. I think sports in general, like I like them, and I'll watch them, and I'll get interested in like Super Bowls and World Series and the big games. Or the playoffs, too,
Yeah.
I don't follow it day to day, and I don't understand fantasy football for the life of me.
Fantasy football's fun. It's not fun for other people to hear being talked about, but it's fun to play, I think.
How does it work exactly?
Okay, so you have to be in a league with like 8 to 12 people, and then you do a draft. It's similar to how the actual football draft works, kind of snake style. Or not similar to the draft, but it's a snake style where you go from 1 to 12, then 12 to 1, as far as picking your players.
Okay.
You pick different positions. You pick a quarterback, you pick a running back, wide receiver, a defense, special teams, and a kicker, and a tight end, and you just go back and forth, picking, and then you have your roster. And then as the games are being played, players on your team accrue points as they gain yardage, as they score touchdowns and such. Then the computer or system you're on adds up all the points that your team has. You're pitted against someone else's team. Whoever has more points wins.
Oh, and you can trade players and things like that.
Yeah, you can trade players, bench them, put them on waivers, free agent and whatnot, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, well, that does sound pretty easy.
If you play and there's money at stake, it will make you follow the season more closely.
That makes sense.
Not just a particular team, but you have players from all over the league, so you'll be watching, a Jacksonville-Oakland game on Monday night just to see how your players are doing, if you happen to have them, or your opponent's players, for that matter.
That reminds me, speaking of money and sort of competitive, have you heard about Salty Bet?
No.
You know Mugen or Mugen, the fighting engine game thing?
Yeah, I saw some great Let's Plays of it back in the day.
Someone has a Twitch channel, which is 24/7 of these giant randomly selected Mugen rosters of CPU versus CPU. And people bet money on, so you end up with, Superman versus Goku and, Batman versus Ryu from Street Fighter. And they bet fake money on it. It's supposedly really entertaining and fun to do. I don't know that I'll be participating, but it sounds like the nerd version. No, it doesn't sound anything like fantasy football, really.
It's exactly like that. So it's just something you watch on Twitch?
Mm-hmm. More or less, right. I used to play NFL Blitz back in the day. I liked that a lot. It was kind of like football. It was a football game, but with,
really, really simplified.
More than that, it was more action-based,
Yeah.
So, so it was kind of immediate sort of turnovers and, I think it was, 30 yards to a first down, if I remember. Because it was so
right, yeah.
It was so action-based, you just gained tons of yardage and lost it immediately and stuff. And it was a little annoying because it was a midway sports games, which means it had, kind of that rubber banding aspect, if you were beating one team badly.
Like Mario Kart.
Yeah, and you'd start fumbling more, they'd get more interceptions, which is kind of bullshit in a way, but it was still a pretty fun game. They actually made a PlayStation version of Blitz where you could actually give your players, steroids and shit like that for, power-ups. I'm serious, dude. But I don't think that did well.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
Alright, Common Coder SA, are you guys planning to do more RP streams / fundraisers?
Yeah.
I'm down.
I was actually thinking of that again, yeah, recently. I don't know what causes are worthwhile causes, besides, a ton of them. Maybe we'll do something for diabetes.
About time. It's about time you people did something for me.
I'd like to do cancer stuff, too. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom's an oncology nurse. Was an oncology nurse, actually. So I got to hear a lot of uplifting stories through my life about cancer.
I'll bet.
Uh-huh. Fun disease. Anyway. Yeah, but I would love to do that again. Absolutely. Maybe we could do something innocuous that nobody cares about, a la Dead to Rights 2. The same way.
That'll be the only thing we stream.
What else we got?
Let's see. Some of these questions are a bit would require too broad of an answer for the time we have left, so I'm trying to look at some simple ones.
Let's see. How did we meet?
I had to go to the New Jersey area or the New York City / New Jersey area for a business thing a few years back, and I told you about it, and I flew into Newark, I think, and you picked me up at the airport.
That's right. And we were going to say how long it took before we could actually had to resort to talking about the forums, and I think it lasted 5 seconds.
Yeah.
No, that was my fault.
That's actually what I said instead of hello.
Yeah.
How's Let's Play doing?
I think, though, when we first started talking was back in the day of, the early day of Let's Play, you were doing Parallel Worlds with Lurk Dog, I think.
How did we internet meet? Yes.
Yeah. And I just IM'd you because your IM was in your profile, and I said, I thought your shit was funny, and I wanted to see if you ever wanted to do a video or whatever.
I thought the first time we actually talked was back in the day when people would do those 10-person Skype call circle jerk things.
That was a blur.
And you were on one, and I was on one at the same time, and I think you mentioned something about Parallel Worlds there, and then somehow we started instant messaging from there.
Oh, okay, maybe that was it. I remember it was really funny. I was looking back at my PMs, and when I was doing Let's Play Super Metroid, you actually sent me a map. Like, you were like, hey, I like your video. Like, here, like, this would probably help you get through Norfair, because I was having so much fucking trouble with it.
Right.
Or something like that. So, yeah.
And you ignored me.
I did ignore you. No, yeah.
You save all your PMs?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're a mod, you get unlimited.
It's like your internet scrapbook?
Yeah, basically.
Good times.
No, I don't know. My PM box, whenever it got full, I would just delete the oldest shit, but then, once I got modded, you just get all of them, so I just stopped deleting them. And I stopped reading them, too, which is helpful. No, I don't. But anyway, I don't really not do that.
At Tracy Crockpot, thoughts on GTA 5? Excited? Not excited? Will you buy it soon or wait a while?
I just shrugged in real life.
I like the Lost Vikings style of the game. It looks interesting.
It looks interesting. I'm not sure where it's going to go yet. I get kind of a Kane and Lynch vibe from it, which bugs me. Because I really wanted to like the Kane and Lynch games, but I really couldn't. I don't know if you ever played those. But, like, I thought they were interesting characters, and it was an interesting premise in terms of story, at least the first game. And then the game itself was really a big letdown. So when I kind of see, like, oh, here's your crazy guy, he's a murderer, it reminds me of Lynch, and I'm like, I don't know. You know? I think that's Trayvon, the crazy guy.
Did you ever play GTA 4?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't, but everybody I've talked to has pretty much universally said it was a huge letdown, and that's kind of tempering their expectations for 5.
Yes and no. Actually working in New York City, that was a very cool aspect that Liberty City modeled after, you know what I mean? And it's a very...
Well, you were modeled after the main character, right?
Oh, of course.
Or the main character's modeled off you, yeah.
Right. It's obviously an extremely condensed version of New York City, you know, where, like, Times Square is, like, a block away from Columbus Circle kind of thing, you know?
Nuts.
I tried to drive to where I worked, and they kind of skipped that block. And there's just, like... I'm like, well, there's less, you know what I mean? So, I mean, obviously it's not Manhattan, or I should say, New York City, you know? And there's a bit of New Jersey in it, which doesn't quite...
Taints the game.
Yeah, basically. But didn't really remind me of New Jersey, you know? By the way, that reminds me, part of Max Payne 3 takes place in Hoboken, and it's, like, ridiculously corrupt. To, like, the point where, like you're in your apartment and the mobster's, like, casing your whole building. Like, I want 2 snipers on the roof, and I want 4 guys going there. It's like, oh, come on. It's Hoboken. Like, cops are gonna be there. It's, you know. But I guess, to be fair, New York City was like that in the first 2 games, so whatever. Anyway. New Jersey doesn't usually get a good rap in video games, so...
That's fair. So, excited, not excited, then?
I'm interested. I wouldn't say excited.
Yeah. I'm interested too, but I'll probably want to play Saints Row 4 first.
I keep hearing that's like the best game.
Yeah.
Next to Brothers, but
no, definitely.
Right. Anyone you want to end on? We're getting close to the hour mark, I think, right?
We are at Jam Polinsky. Talk about your favorite sandwich.
Huh.
It's tough.
God, I don't know. They're all so good.
I like Reuben's.
I like French dips.
Yeah, pulled pork sandwich. Yeah, y'all, right? Huh?
Sure. Those are, actually, pulled pork. Actually, Debris Po' Boy. Boom.
Well, I do like me some po' boys.
It's a New Orleans deal where you make a pot roast, and any of the meat that just falls off into the gravy, you scoop that up like debris, you know?
Right.
And that's their sandwich. Bang. Delicious.
And your heart immediately stops.
No, that would be from the fat sandwiches at Rutgers in New Brunswick, New Jersey. They have, like, this was on Man vs. Food once. They have, like, these incredibly great sandwiches, like the Fat Cat, which is, like, 2 burgers with cheese, lettuce, tomato, French fries, all on a big hero roll, basically. Or they have the Fat Coca with bacon, which is cheesesteak kind of steak with mozzarella sticks and French fries all in one sandwich. And you can get that with bacon if you like. They are fucking delicious, especially if you're drunk. But anyway.
Yum.
Oh, yeah. So those, I think, are my big sandwich picks.
Now I really want to get lunch.
Not me. Now I really want to go see a cardiologist.
Let's see. At Yif Master.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Best thing to ever happen to you guys at a GameCon? I figured the default response would be meeting the Navigator CEO.
That was pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like PAX a lot, and I always look forward to it, and we won't get into it because it's a heavy topic and we're nearing the end. But the recent controversy was kind of annoying because it's don't make me feel, You know what it is? I posted a link on Twitter. It was called Penny Arcade Needs to Solve Its Crawlic Problem. And I think that kind of summed it up for me, is no matter what you feel about it, it is now reflecting badly on the organization and things like that.
Yeah. I just don't get how dumb that guy can be, where he's trying to posit that the expo, or the con, is this welcoming to everybody thing, while he, who is half of the face of that, posits this completely opposite, incongruous opinion.
I think it stems from the fact that, first of all, it is totally at odds with each other when you say we wanted a convention for all sorts of gamers, and I know they meant tabletop, PC, console to come together, but this notion of inclusion, all gamers come together, and then people get upset with certain things, and it's I'm just going to immediately dismiss that out of hand, and I'm stubborn, so I'm just going to say I'm right. Because I think there even has to be a point where even if you don't get it, you kind of start to think, this thing has really taken on legs.
You still have to appreciate,
there's got to be something to this, that it's lasted this long. You know what I mean? Even if I don't personally get it, Because, you know what? Even the original stupid comic, it was a one-off side joke. It wasn't even the main gag of the comic, but to defend that dumb side gag so vociferously is crazy. Just let it fucking go. Yeah. That is not a war worth fighting. Even if you don't get it, which is a whole nother thing, Because, frankly, too, and even the people now who attack Penny Arcade, even they say, you know what, it's kind of innocuous, frankly, the original comic. Not innocuous, I'm sorry. It's kind of not as big a deal as...
It's not what they intended. It wasn't the message they intended, but their reaction to the backlash...
Right, the follow-up comment, the merchandise...
became the real source of the controversy.
And then 3 years later to do the stupid, I think that was a mistake. I think bringing that up was a mistake. You fool.
And he later tried to issue this apology on the Penny Arcade website, but it struck me as a very disingenuous and kind of slimy attempt at backpedaling on it.
But at that rate...
Saying, no, what I meant to say is we regretted the entire thing, not just pulling the merchandise.
But you know what?
No, I don't get to say that. I don't buy that.
But you know what it is? At this point, there's nothing he can really do except that. This is the point where
he could shut the fuck up.
I know, but, I'm just saying, going from there, it's you know what? You're just going to have to just eat the crow, issue the apology, which is what he more or less did. And you're right that it comes off really whatever, but at this point it's there's certainly worse targets out there, and we really, I don't know. You're right, but I guess part of me is just I really like PAX and I had a great time, and I wish I could just, I want to just forgive it, but I know that...
But I don't want to go if I have to hold my nose when paying for the ticket price.
I don't know. You know what it is? I think too, it's a fun event, and the people there are more representative of it, or I hope so. Than
well, if you watch the Twitch stream of when they said that was their big regret and all the gross hoots and hollerins, you'd be surprised.
The one thing I do like is I feel like it was one of those things where a few people did it, but it wasn't a big round of applause or a standing ovation.
It's hopefully not representative of...
Right. I thought we weren't going to get into it because it was too heavy.
Oops.
You lied to me. No.
And to think we were originally going to end on the favorite sandwich question.
What sandwiches do they have at PAX? They need better food at PAX, I will say that.
Yeah. Especially the Boston one, because there's nothing near where the convention center is.
Yeah, really. Well, I think that's a good place as any to leave it.
On that lighthearted note. Eat sandwiches.
Do it.
And, okay.
And try not to say anything that's bad PR for your company. Okay. Unless you're Hideo Kojima, in which case all bets are off.
Take it easy.